In the heart of London, where ambition was the currency and the clocks ticked like impatient creditors, lived a banker named Harlan Graves. The year was 1929. Harlan was a master of his craft, a man whose ledgers could balance empires, but whose own life was deeply out of balance. He was 51, with eyes as gray and unyielding as the vaults he guarded. His days were a blur of mergers and audits, his nights spent hunched over a desk piled high with figures. He lived by a simple, brutal mantra: time is money. But this equation was costing him dearly. The laughter of his daughter Lila had faded into a distant echo, a melody he could barely recall. The heirloom pocket watch from his father, who had chased the same golden ghost, ticked relentlessly against his chest, a constant reminder of the time he was losing. One evening, as rain pattered against the window, the door to his office creaked open. It was Elias Finch, the firm's elderly archivist. At 78, Elias was a keeper of stories, not gold. His eyes, framed by half-moon spectacles, saw the deep hunger in Harlan's gaze. "Mr. Graves," Elias said, his voice as warm as aged brandy. "You tally your figures like a man mapping the stars. But tonight, your soul seems starved for a different kind of story." He held up a peculiar old book, its cover embossed with an hourglass. It was called Asterisk, the Clockmaker's Confession Asterisk. Harlan was about to refuse. Time was too precious for fables. But a profound weariness settled over him, and he simply nodded. Elias began to read. His voice wove through the rhythm of the rain, telling the tale of a clockmaker who spent his life forging time for others, trading precious hours for gold. But one evening, he saw his daughter dancing in the lamplight and realized the treasure he had been squandering. The story ended with the clockmaker's final engraving: "Time is not the coin you chase, but the currency of connection. The hours you hoard become husks, but those you spend on souls, they multiply." He then shattered his finest stopwatch and joined his daughter's dance, understanding that the richest man invests not in vaults, but in the vivid now. The words washed over Harlan like sunlight through a dusty window. For the first time in years, tears streamed down his face, not of loss, but of awakening. The ticking of his watch softened from a tyrant's command to a gentle invitation. He rose from his desk, a new lightness in his shoulders. "Elias," he said, his voice steady. "What if I close the ledger early tonight? What if I go home to Layla and read her a chapter by the fire?" Elias smiled warmly. "That, sir, is the truest transaction you could ever make." That night, Harlan